Vak Suktam, mantra number 6. Yam Rishayo mantra krito manishinaha Anvaichan devastapasa shramena Tan devim vachagam avishaya jamahe Sano dadhatu sukratasya loke. So we have to worship this Devi, Vak Devi. Now, by worshipping, how do we worship Vak Devi? By means of speech only. See, any worship is possible only through speech. And we actually worship her for what purpose? So that we are established in the loka, in the realm, which is reserved for those who have done lot of merit. It's an exclusive club, if you may. Unless there is enormous amount of punya that is accumulated, we cannot go and stay there. Ati punya, people who have done a great punya only can go there, and they can go there only by meditating and knowing about that walk, that Devi walk. So, but then how to find that walk? For that, this mantra is saying, Yam Vacham, Yam Devim Vacham. That Devi called Vak Devi, which was tapasa, shramena by means of tapas, shramena by means of enormous effort, anvaichantaha, they went and searched for it. Now, all of us are searching for something or the other, and all of us are searching with great effort, lot of shrama, lot of tapas, how much of hard work we are doing every day, and how much of thinking we are doing every day. But why is it that particular loka is not available to us? It is because this is possible only for Rishayaha. So it is only possible for Rishis. What kind of Rishis? Who are Manishinaha. Look at the qualifications you require. Who is a Manishi? A Manishi is one who has a mastery over one's own mind. So right there we fail. Manishinaha. So where else we have come across this? Kavirmanishi paribhu swayambhur yatha tatyatorthan vedadati. Where do we get this? Ishavasya Upanishad. So in the Ishavasya Upanishad, Manishi, Swayambhu, Kavi, all of these epithets are given to Ishvara. So what is the quality of Ishvara and the quality of a human being? All human beings, however bright and brilliant they are, however high achievers they have no control on their mind. And therefore none of us claim to be in the status of Manishi. But anyone who can achieve the ability to control one's own mind, we have many methods. We have talked about it in the Vatandra Yoga Sutra, we have talked about it in the Gita, we have talked about it while studying Ishavasya Upanishad. In all those occasions we have studied how to become a Manishi, and one who becomes a Manishi, and not enough if one is a Manishi, but also must be a Mantra Krita. So on the face of it, it looks as though they were the ones who actually created the mantra. But what it is a statement which is against the concept that Veda is superhuman. Then how do we interpret this mantra, this word? Mantra Krita means mantra drashtara. That means it is not one who has created the mantra, but one who has seen the mantra. So they are able to get this darshana only because of their extraordinary mano niyamana samartha. So the question occurs, therefore, how can I control my mind? And obviously, this is not easy, but the both Patanjali Maharshi as well as Sri Krishna says the practice, by practice and by detachment, it is possible. Abhyasena ca kaunteya vairagyena ca grihyate abhyasa vairagyabhyam tannirodhaha. Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So therefore, unless there is a dedicated practice and detachment, detachment, as I have many times emphasized, is not indifference. Detachment is absolute and total engagement in the world without being affected by whatever happens. That is detachment. And then what happens? What is the consequence of that? You are absolutely engaged. In other words, there is shrama. Because you are engaged and you are detached, you can stand outside and then watch everything that is going on. Isn't it? You are involved but not involved. You are active but you are not active. That's called Naishkarmya Siddhi. That is how to achieve non-doing. Naishkarmya Siddhi while you are continuously doing karma. How is it possible? Only by saying that all the instruments of my functioning is Ishvara is doing it. And if Ishvara is doing everything that my body and mind is doing, where should my mind be? My mind cannot be individualized, isn't it? So mind should be given to Ishvara and let Ishvara control the mind. When the Ishvara controls the mind, then you are not in control. You are not in control of the mind, but you are in control of the mind. Look at all these paradoxes. So you are in control of the mind. Manoniyamana Shakti. Your manas is controlled, but controlling power is Ishvara, so you become Manishi. And when such a thing has happened, you become a Rishaya. So this such a Rishi will get extraordinary powers. What is this extraordinary power? The power to unearth the knowledge that is hidden. Because all knowledge is hidden. I'll come to that, how to understand this statement in a minute. All profound knowledge is hidden. It has got to be searched. To unearth that jnana, we must be empowered by Swayambhu, by the Creator. Unless Ishvara empowers it to us, we will never be able to unearth. When does Ishvara empower us? Only when we surrender our mind to Him. And on surrendering to the mind, Sayanacharya writes in the introduction to Rugbhashya, Yugante Antarhitan Vedan Itihasan Maharshayah Lebhire Tapasa Purvam Anujnata Swayambhuva. Anujnata Swayambhuna, by means of the permission given by Ishvara. Who will get that permission? Only those who are doing tapasa. When? Beforehand. Prerequisite. Purvam tapasa, purvam anujnataha swayambhuva, to them the hidden Veda, Itihasa will be available to the Maharshis. So we can say, okay, they were all great, Vasishtha, Vamadeva, and Vishwamitra were all there. Hamare bas mein nahi. We can say that. But what is the purpose of this mantra? The purpose of this mantra is every single person who has got a manas is capable of becoming a manishi. Simple practice is you must be able to meditate. Only when you have got that ability to do tapas, shramena, And what is the format of tapas here? The format of tapas is not just breathing, because breathing will only make our lungs strong. Or it is not physical yoga, it only makes our body flexible. It is to surrender the mind to Ishvara, completely, totally, without any appropriation. If we are able to do that, then the Rishis, Buddhi Shakti and Dharana Shakti becomes powerful. How can the intellect and retention power increase? Only when all our studies are not disturbed by our emotions, isn't it? So where is emotion? Emotion is in the mind. When all the emotions are crowding our mind, how can the intellect function? And if the intellect does not function, how can there be retention? So again, look at these rishis, because they completely separated their emotions. And they said, all this, my emotional life is in the hands of Ishvara. Yadyad bhavyam bhavatu bhagavan purvakarmanurupam. In Mukundamala, Kulshakarmani says, Yat bhavyam, whatever has to happen in my life according to my purva karma, yadyad bhavyam bhavatu bhagavan purvakarmanurupam. So that means you are taking away all the stimulus for your emotions. When the stimulus is taken care of, what happens? Mind becomes quiet. The reason mind becomes quiet is because all the emotions have been replaced by one emotion, a single emotion. A single emotion is called bhakti. But this bhakti to Ishvara is not an emotional bhakti again. It is a dedication of the mind to Ishvara for the sake of making us capable of tapas, which in turn sharpens the Buddhi Shakti and Dharana Shakti, and therefore now you become a Devata. So a human being becomes a Devata. Anvaichan Deva. Once he says Rishayaha, another time he says Devaha. So why this mantra is saying Rishayaha and Devaha? For a Rishi, you need tapas, shrama, Dharana Shakti, Buddhi Shakti. When all these things are there, and the mind is free from emotional turbulence, then immediately what happens? The intellect starts shining. And therefore, that sage, he becomes a Deva. And this Deva, to that Deva, this Vak Devi reveals herself. With all our Sanskrit knowledge, please try composing one single phrase of Veda Mantra. One single phrase. So humbling. Can we write Ano Bhadra Krata Bhoyantu Vishwata? We know all those words. Can we put it together? So that Vagdevi reveals only to such a person. And now he says, Sukritasya loke, you place me in that Sukritasya loke, this thought process, this contemplation, this tapas, this Dharana Shakti, this Buddhi Shakti, this neutralization of the emotions. Where are you actually? You are in the Sukritasya loke. So it becomes impossible for this person who has already done punya karma to be able to be in that place to revert and do anything wrong. This is the reason why Vishwamitra, who had become Brahmarshi, by the time he came to take Rama to neutralize Tataka, after all, what could he not neutralize Tataka and Marija for all his prowess? Why did he not do it? And why did they have to go suffer so much of hardship with these Rakshasas? Because once you have reached that stage, you cannot bring anger into your mind. And without anger, how can you fight? And therefore, this Kshatriya had become a Brahmana. And therefore, he needed a Kshatriya. And that Kshatriya had other roles to play. Therefore, he was brought. So you see, that is why Vasishtha or Vishwamitra, you can never aggravate them. Never make them angry. Because they have perfected this art. Because to get angry, it should be done only through emotion. But that emotion is with Ishvara. For Ishvara, what anger is there? He is free from anger. So, for this, they have to do tapas. So, what is this tapas? This tapas, we have many times given the etymology of the word tapas, tapa alochane, Panini Sutra. That means that tapas is deep thinking. Interestingly, the parsing of the word tapas is alochana. A means samantat, from all directions. Lochana means eyes. So when you say thinking, where do eyes come here? Isn't it alochana? Alodana is alochana. That is, seeing properly is thinking properly. So this seer, that means he is the one who can examine, who can observe. What does he observe? What does he examine in tapas? What do we do in tapas? In tapas, first project in tapas is to search for the cause behind all effects. So, the knowledge of the cause behind all happenings, what is it called? What are all the happenings? There are transactions. In Sanskrit, what is the word for transaction? Vyavahara. All transactions, sarva vyavahara. Cause, hetu. Knowledge, jnana. So, sarva vyavahara hetur jnanam is buddhi. How do you define intellect? How do you define buddhi? Buddhi is that ability which is capable of knowing the cause behind all effects. Tapas pannanuna ide. Sometime when you have a chance, you look at the internet, there is a Buddhist teaching called the Doctrine of Dependent Origination. It's called Pratitya Samutpada. In Pratitya Samutpada, the Buddha teaches us how to think. A person will come and say, I am sad. You go to Ramana Maharshi and say, I am sad. Then he will say, who is it that I who is sad? So when I say I am sad, I am looking only at the effect that is happening on my mind, isn't it? So then you will start asking what made you sad and who made you sad, when did you become sad, why did you become sad. As you investigate and go on and investigating, you will get sarva vyavahara hetu jnana, and then becomes buddhi. Now this buddhi acts in two ways. One is, it will only act using the memory. Just memory. So, what is this knowledge assimilated through memory called samskara matra jnana, samskara matra janya jnanam smritihi. So, what is the definition of memory? Definition of memory, smriti, means every experience you have gone through is called samskara. In those samskaras or the experiences you have gone through, you can give a meaning. Isn't it? I have got a child. Why? Because I married. So you have got a samskara janya jnana. That became your memory. But this is only part knowledge, because it has to translate itself into what is bhava. Isn't it? Is your wife just a woman or something more? So how do you have married a girl, you have married a woman, true, and you call her your wife. Is that all? Is it not something more than that? And that more than that, that bhinnam jnanam is anubhava. So one is theoretical and another is practical applied knowledge. Well, let us take one example. So let us say I get angry. Why did I get angry? I got angry because of an association with an unpleasant entity. I get angry. Isn't it? So therefore, why did I get associated with that entity in the first place? It is because I had a desire to be with that entity. Kamat sanjayate, sangat sanjayate kamaha. This is how we have to analyze. How do you parse the Gita word sangat sanjayate kamaha? Because I associated myself, it created desire. And because all associations can give rise to attachment and dukkha, or it can give rise to anger. Therefore, kamat krodho vijayate. This buddhi this analysis is only smriti. It is inadequate to discover that Vagdevi. It's not enough, because we will only be fit to live in the world. But tad bhinnam jnanam anubhavam. What is that bhinnam jnanam? Jhayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate. What is it that made me attach in the first place? Get attached in the first place? Because I was contemplating on things. Therefore, the anubhava is, in this verse, dhyayato vishayan pumsan sangasteshu upajayate. I was contemplating on the material things, including humans, including gods. Because you worship, you take an Ishta Devata and then you are doing all kinds of prayer and all kinds of worship, but you are not getting what you want. So you get angry with your God also. You do, isn't it? So this also we have to be very careful. You are not home free, because Jhayato Vishyan Punsan, also you can say, oh, wait, I am contemplating on that because of this aggressive advertisement. Isn't it? I never cared about iPhone, I never cared about that new gadget, but look at all these advertisements that are coming. And because of those advertisements, I am tempted. So the locus of temptation is somewhere else. This is called ayathartha jnana. Yathartha jnana is, I am the one because I did not get control on my mind. And hence, all these iterative outcomes have happened. And this owning up of responsibility is called anubhava. Difference between anubhava and anubhava. That is why one who has completely processed all these in his buddhi is called Mahanubhava. we just go and call everybody he is a Mahanubhava. So much of prerequisite is there to become a Mahanubhava. So this kind of Yathartha Jnana Anubhava, which makes a person a Mahanubhava, is possible only by tapasa shramena. See, that is where we come back to the loop. It is available to every one of us when we do tapasa shramena. When we do that, Vak is controlled. So let us summarize if we want to take up this practice. First and foremost, we have to control our mind through abhyasa and vairagya. Until such time we practice constantly, every time the world will drag us towards itself, and every time we have got to resist it. So it is like holding the tug of war, keeps going on. And we have got to develop detachment. Once we develop abhyasa vairagya, the person becomes ready to be a manishi. And in this readiness, the next thing that has to happen is swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is not just study of the scriptures. Study of the scriptures is one part of swadhyaya. The real part of swadhyaya is sarva vyavahara hetu jnana to be cultivated, and it must be coupled by atadachara. Without sadachara, the whole project fails. There has to be ahimsa, saucha, satya and other virtues. Because what happens with all these virtues of ahimsa, satya, what happens is our relationship with the outside world will be most comfortable. No conflict. When you don't hate anybody, how can there be a conflict? Isn't it? When you think of everybody as yourself, sarvabhutastam atmanam, atmanam yenu pashyati, then how can there be any conflict? So when we develop a totally no conflict style of life, in addition to deep contemplation on sarva vyavahara hetu jnana, then what happens? Swadhyaya becomes possible. And whatever we have learned, studied, observed has to be refined, perfected by means of deep thinking, tapas. And when this tapas happens, shramena, by that effort, we will get yathartha jnana. That is the jnana of what is the true reality. In this context, your study of doctrine of dependent origination will really help you, because it takes a very simple fact and then says all your dukkha is because you chose to take birth. You chose to take birth. So don't blame anybody.
But it's not in our hands, right?
It is in your hand. You will discover this. Study Pratitya Samatpada. And then Vagdevi is now discovered. Now such Vagdevi places us in Sukritasya Loke, in a realm which is fit for those who are done good. So this is beautifully dramatized in the life of Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra sits and he finds that Vasishtha's Brahma Tejas was more powerful than all his Kshatra. So he says, Dikshatra Balam Brahma Tejo Balam Balam. This is the phrase used in Ramayana. Dikshatra Balam Brahma Tejo Balam Balam. So he goes and sits in tapas. In that tapas, he is declared by Indra because of his intense tapas. You have become a Rajarshi now, Raja Rishi. Who is a Rajarshi? A Rajarshi is one, because of all the processes that we talked about, you look at what is good for the world. So Desha Hita, when you look at Desha Hita, you say that in this world, let all beautiful things happen to everybody. Look at our Vedic national anthem. Asmin Rashtre Shuro Jayatam. The Veda mantra says, in this nation, let there be people of great valor. A rishi who can come to that mantra, Asmin Rashtre Shuro Jayatam Yogakshemo Nah Kalpatam. It's there in our syllabus. Yogakshemo Nah Kalpatam. You become a Rajarshi because you are thinking of the good of the nation. So Rajarshi becomes a Rajarshi, then he goes to the other realms and says, Devata Jnana he gets. Alright, how can this world be comfortable? Unless there is timely rain, unless there is lot of food to eat for everybody, and if there is no pestilence, if there is no disease, how can there be good for the nation? And therefore Indra is the one who gives rain. Agni is the one. Samudra, Apaha. Vayu is the one who gives. And then you start understanding the nature of the Rita. I talked about Rita last week. Nature of the cosmic law, which is beyond Satya and Dharma. Satya is the expression of Rita, and Dharma is the action that Satya culminates in. So when Rita Jnana comes, then that person is called a Devarshi. So therefore, Vishwamitra is declared, you have now become a Devarshi. But he now again sits in Tapasa Shramena Anvaichan. What is he searching for? Now he is searching for the unifying principle between the cosmic order called Rita. How does it become truth, Satya, and how Satya translates itself into Dharma, and how Dharma can be expressed through Karma.
Come back again?
Dharma expresses itself through Karma, isn't it?
No, I know. Come back again from Rita.
Rita.
Yeah.
Rita is the cosmic law. Expresses itself as Satyam. Satyam actually expresses itself as Dharma, and from Dharma it becomes Karma. So the unifying principle between all these four, whoever comes to understand, we call him a Maharshi. So thinking of the good of the world, he becomes Rajarshi, knowing that all these cosmic forces which provide comfort for us to live, by giving the name of the Devatas, you become a Devarshi. Now you become a Maharshi when the Rita, Satya, Dharma and Karma relationship has been understood. And even if you are clouding this with your emotion, how can you think in this way? So keep the mind apart. Purely it is an intellectual activity, buddhi activity. The Manishi's activity. And Manishi's activity is Ishvara's activity. Now, how does he become a Brahmarshi? He becomes a Brahmarshi by saying all of this is actually the manifestation of Parabrahman. So what is the process? Bless everybody around you. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Let everybody be happy. Even if I am suffering, let others be happy. Then you start investigating the glory of nature. And then you look at the devatas behind that nature. Then you look behind that the unifying principle. Then you will come to actually see that in the smallest of the small and in the biggest of the big, how one principle inheres. Anorniyan vahato mahiyan atma guhayam nitosya janto tamakrutum pashyati. He who sees this, he is a dhira. So that person who has seen, has discovered this walk. And now we are asking, O Devi Vak, please bless me so I can also be in that noble company.